Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Diamonds and Washi. My name is Katie, and today it is time for week 2 of Fairy Tales and Folklore. This is a diamond painting event I'm hosting with my friend Cait from Diamond Painting and Dr. Pepper, and it's, well, exactly what it sounds like. It is celebrating all things fairy tales, folklore, and that includes things like mythology, Grimm's fairy tales, and a whole host of other themes. It's taking place throughout the month of February, and you're welcome to join us anytime. Our goal is to keep this event feeling very accessible, easy to dive into. There's no new start or finish required. Basically, as long as you have a kit that works for the theme, you're welcome to join in. Cait and I are doing these weekly videos on our channels. Cait started off the event last week with week 1, where she talked about defining the folklore umbrella, and I recommend going and watching that video if you haven't. It was really a great way to kick off the event, and I feel like I learned a lot. And for week 2, I thought that since this video will be going up on Valentine's Day, it would be really interesting to do a bit of a deep dive on the myth of Hades and Persephone, which in modern retellings tends to have quite a romantic bent to it. So we're going to talk about kind of the origins of this story, how it's evolved over time, and why it is a myth that is really captivating, including for myself. I thought that also it would be perfect timing for me to start on a Persephone kit. It was always in my plan to work on one of my many Persephone or Hades and Persephone kits during this event. This is really one of my favorite characters, and I have a lot of diamond paintings that I've either completed or in my collection that feature her. So in honor of the first year of this event and just feeling very ready to go ahead and tackle a big project, I'm going to be starting Persephone from Roytrin and Diamond Art Club. This kit, unfortunately, is discontinued. If you wanted to get your hands on it, you would have to look in a D-stash group and hopefully be able to track it down that way. It is large, 70 by 105 centimeters, but I am ready. We're going to be starting down here in the bottom corner, as you can see here, working our way through it. And so if you're here to find out about giveaways, because for this event we are doing weekly giveaways, there's no grand prize. I'll link to the kickoff video if you want a recap of all the details for the event. Again, it's pretty laid back and chill. But if you're here to find out, did I win a week 1 prize, or what are the week 2 giveaways going to be, please stay tuned. I will have more information for you just a little bit later. You can skip ahead if you want, of course, but I hope that if you're someone that really enjoys this genre and this theme as much as Cait and I love it, that hopefully you'll stick around. So I'm going to open up this section. We're kind of going to just do this whip and chat style so I can actually get started on this diamond painting while you're keeping me company. I'm doing these really large size sections just because I'm curious to see if that'll make it feel like it goes a little bit faster or not. I can always adjust it later. I also do still need to do my washi tape border. I was in a tiny bit of a crunch to get this ready so I could get started in this video with you guys. Now, as far as where I pulled this material from, I spent quite a lot of time this afternoon just sort of refreshing my memory. I watched a bunch of different YouTube videos. I looked at a bunch of different articles and blog posts, and it was a little ways into that process that I started trying to bookmark all my sources so I could share them with you guys. So I will have my sources linked below, but please know that I'm sure that there are some that I'm missing. I tried to kind of patch them together in hopefully a somewhat coherent way so that we can make sense of this mythos together, because the thing with mythology is that it doesn't necessarily always have really hard and fast rules or specific things. There are usually common story beats and themes, but it can vary a little bit, especially because of how myths were told and shared way back when. So let me go ahead and set the scene a little bit. we have our main characters. Let's talk about just briefly the characters. So people we're going to be talking about are going to include Hades. This is the god of the underworld and ruler of the dead. He's often misunderstood as evil, but he really is more just a firm and stern kind of character and very just. Now, Persephone, of course, is the daughter of Demeter and is associated with spring growth and later gets the title of Queen of the Underworld. Then we have, speaking of Demeter, this is Persephone's mother, who's also the goddess of agriculture and fertility. And then we have Zeus, who's a real stinker, really. He's the king of the gods, happens to also be brother of Hades, and is the father of Persephone. If you're not familiar with Greek mythology, I will just tell you the family trees are really unhinged when it comes to Greek mythology. There's a lot of weirdness going on, and you just kind of have to go with this was at the time. It was very out of its time. There's a lot of this person was their father, and also they're this, and there's also this person killed this person, and Zeus really, he got around a lot too. So that's Zeus was Zeus. So here's how the story begins. So Persephone is a young maiden, and one day she is gathering flowers in a meadow. Sometimes this is said to be in Sicily or near Mount Etna, and some of the stories say that she had companions with her. Now, one of our main source materials and earliest source materials for this myth is the Homeric hymn, I might be mispronouncing that, as in Homer, Homeric hymn to Demeter. So according to this source, the earth then suddenly splits open. From the chasm comes Hades in his golden chariot. It's drawn by immortal horses, and he kidnaps Persephone. He seizes Persephone and carries her down into the underworld to be his bride. Now, more context to this. We have, in a lot of versions of this myth, Zeus has given permission secretly for this marriage, and Hades didn't just do this all on his own. In some versions of this myth, he has sought out his brother's approval. But widely in this myth, Demeter was not involved. She's unaware. That's kind of important to the story, too. So Hades has taken Persephone, and she cries out for aid, and no one rescues her. When this happens and Demeter realizes her daughter is gone, she searches frantically all across the earth. Usually it says for around 9 days and nights. She's holding torches. Sometimes torches are important imagery when it comes to Persephone, but we're talking about Demeter right now. Demeter's searching for her daughter. She's refusing to eat or drink, and on the 10th day, she learns from Helios, who is the all-seeing sun god, that Hades has taken Persephone with Zeus's consent. How she finds out about Persephone, that varies. I feel like Helios is usually the one, he saw it happen. So Demeter is devastated. She's really upset. She withdraws from Olympus and she wanders the earth disguised as an old woman. And she's grieving. She's really angry because she doesn't have her daughter. Her daughter's been taken. And so she refuses to let the crops go. Remember, she's the goddess of agriculture. The earth becomes barren, seeds would not sprout, fields would wither. Now, this is a really common thing in Greek mythology, is they will have these myths of gods and goddesses to explain things like the seasons, to explain what's happening in the sky, like weather patterns. And so this ties into that. So a famine spreads across humanity because Demeter is refusing to let crops grow. Without food, obviously, it's a problem for humanity. They can't survive. And without humans to give offerings and sacrifices to the gods lose their power. So it's all interconnected. And so the balance is out of whack here between gods and mortals. So Zeus, who arguably is a huge part of the reason this all happened, at least happened the way that it did, he's like, well, shoot, humanity's on the brink of extinction. I guess I should probably do something. So he sends Hermes to the underworld to demand Persephone's return. Hades agrees, but, and we're coming around to another important part of this imagery, before he lets Persephone leave, he offers her a pomegranate. And some people say that he tricks her into it, but there's some interesting kind of, like, if you read into some of the context and symbolism behind it, especially in more modern retellings, it can be said maybe he didn't necessarily trick her and there was more to it than that. But really, it's often portrayed as though Hades tricked her into eating a pomegranate. It says Persephone ate a few seeds, often 6, so the number varies, but I think 6 is often an important number in the story. And why this is important is that in Greek belief, anyone who consumes food in the underworld is now bound to it. So because Persephone has eaten the seeds of this pomegranate, food of the underworld, she can't just go back to living in the regular world, like the world of the living, just like she was before. It can't look exactly like that anymore. So they decided to, I don't know exactly how this looked. Basically, Persephone / Demeter / Hades, they come to this agreement, this compromise, basically, where Persephone is going to spend part of the year in the underworld with Hades as his queen, and the rest of the year she will spend in the land of the living with her mother, Demeter. Usually the way that this is broken up is that in the winter months, so about a third of the year, she's in the underworld with Hades. I've seen portrayals where it's like half the time she's with Hades. And then in spring and summer, she's on Earth. I've seen even retellings of this that talk about like when, winter came later, it was because Persephone was trying to stay with her mother in the land of the living as long as possible before she had to go back to the underworld, or kind of vice versa. And so it kind of varies. When Persephone is with Demeter, Demeter is so happy, she's rejoicing, and this is again the spring and summer seasons, and because Demeter, the goddess of agriculture and plants and growing things, because she's happy, that means that flowers are blooming, we've got crops growing successfully so humans can eat and live, and the earth is, fertile again. And then when Persephone goes to the underworld to be with her husband Hades, Demeter is upset and mourns, and so the plants die and the world enters winter. So this is obviously how, in Greek mythology, they use this to explain the seasons and the sort of cycle of plant life and whatnot. So, while this has a lot to do, I've dove into a little bit of how different people were exploring the themes behind this myth, and it obviously is about loss to an extent, but it also is about transformation. So, like at the beginning of the story, Persephone is a maiden gathering flowers. At the end of the story, though, she's the queen of the dead. So it's this journey and this transformation that she's gone on. In the underworld, she becomes a powerful and respected figure. She's not just Hades' captive. In a lot of later myths, she's acting independently. And this ties into, I thought about really diving into this more, but it's its own story. But like the whole story of Orpheus and Eurydice, and if you've seen like the modern retelling via Hades Town, kind of talks about this a little bit and explores some of these themes. Persephone was, involved with that. And so transformation is a big theme when it comes to this myth. We also have things, we talked about the agricultural symbolism, death and rebirth, Persephone living in both places, and this tension of being in the world of the living and the realm of the dead. And in some myths, she's like a mediator between life and death. It's interesting. And then just talking about, I want to talk more about the relationship between Hades and Persephone and how it was portrayed in more ancient retellings versus modern retellings, which in present day I feel like it's very, very romanticized, but like a lot of Greek mythology, there's a lot of tragedy to it, though it's not as tragic as some Greek myths and some of our characters. But in ancient sources, Hades is not portrayed as cruel or abusive or evil. That's just not who he is. That's not what his role is, or how he treats Persephone. Sorry, I just smacked the camera there. Persephone ultimately becomes his equal in rulership. Like, he's king of the underworld. She becomes queen of the underworld and has her own power and empowerment to it. It was kind of, different sources would say different things about whether or not they had children. Yeah, so that I wasn't totally sure about. There's some minor deities that sometimes are like, oh, this was their children, but it's not like a really widely known ones, I guess. And unlike a lot of Olympian gods, Hades is pretty steadfast and loyal. There aren't these stories like, looking at you, Zeus, of him having children or with other, humans or gods and goddesses, or just cheating on his wife. That wasn't Hades' style. And Persephone isn't just a passive character. Like, she does come into her own as the queen of the underworld. But still, the romanticization of their relationship is still more of a modern thing, like making it more than just sort of these are their characters, but actually diving into making it more of a romantic thing, kind of a la Beauty and the Beast, I feel like. So I feel like, especially these morally gray characters, these sort of dark villain, like enemies to lovers type tropes are really, really popular right now. And like, they've been kind of growing up to having a moment, and they really, especially now, really are. And there's a solid foundation here with this story and these characters for you to kind of transpose those feelings onto. So, for example, Hades is not usually shown, like we said, he doesn't cheat. He's not deliberately cruel or evil or deceptive. He tends to rule his realm really fairly. He doesn't like actively set out to like cause chaos. He's all about order and boundaries. So just not like an inherently evil person, especially compared to Zeus. Like, Hades looks like husband of the year material in a lot of ways. So it's really easy to look at that and go, oh, stability equals devotion, right? And that Beauty and the Beast archetype, where it's like you have this dark, isolated, like tragic ruler. We have a bright, innocent, female figure, and forced proximity. And then just this emotional journey that they go on together, and this transformation being a really common theme, like I said, in this myth as well. And so you could look at this as, oh, Persephone is softening him, again, like Beauty and the Beast, and he treasures her and loves when she comes back to him, and it just, again, fits really well into modern tropes. And the underworld being like, oh, his lonely kingdom, Persephone being there transforms it into this like warm place of where love is a big theme. We also have this shift in perspective in modern retellings of trying to give Persephone more agency and independence and make her less of a passive figure. Some modern retellings will really change the story and say outright that Persephone chose Hades, and not just that he stole her away, but that she was more of an active, like, yes, I'll go with you kind of thing. There are sometimes retellings where she embraces her power as queen of the underworld and her role of existing in both like light and darkness, and holding those two things at the same time. And that makes it feel like this is more like she's more empowered, which fits again in kind of modern narratives. Those are kind of the main ways that I see this kind of adapted in modern day, but there are other ways. So like, I haven't really read, it's on my list to read, but Lore Olympus is one of those really popular retellings of modern retellings of Greek mythology, and these characters of Hades and Persephone feature pretty prominently as far as I understand it. And they really go pretty far to reshape this. And some people might feel like these modern stories and takes on Hades and Persephone are really jumping the shark, but there's something that I feel like is actually very pure and true to the idea of how myths functioned and the purpose that they served, even in more ancient times, like the way that that is changed and adapted to fit present day and what's culturally relevant. That's actually, in my opinion, very, very fitting, and I kind of love it a lot. I actually saw a really interesting article that put these kind of side by side and said that, like, in ancient Greek mythology, the purpose that these stories served was to explain natural phenomena like the seasons or the weather. It was to reinforce social norms. So it was more about, like, how does this serve society and culture as a whole? And also there was a really strong religious element. So if there were religious rituals or a certain framework that really fit society's expectations and everything at the time, that was kind of the purpose of the myths, including that of Hades and Persephone. Modern retellings and how this kind of works within our current culture and society tends to focus more on character arcs and opportunities for healing and redemption, a lot about romantic chemistry, hence a lot of these romantic tropes that we see being really popularized right now, and being able to embrace nuance, especially when it comes to morality and ethics. And this is just not something you would have seen in ancient Greece when you were seeing the story being told. So I'm curious to hear from you guys. What do you kind of personally prefer? Do you prefer the kind of roots of this story and how it started out? And how do you feel about how it's evolved and how you see this story retold today? There's so much more out there about this particular story. I feel like I could sit here and talk about it for hours, but I don't necessarily want to keep you that long, just for the sake of this, keeping this pretty chill and laid back. But I hope that this was at least a nice, soft introduction to the story, the myth of Hades and Persephone, how it really started, and why it looks a little bit different, or a lot different, in sort of present day compared to ancient Greece, and the different kinds of reasons that is and the purposes that it serves. And no, I didn't get super far in my kit, but that's really okay. If you have further reading that you want to share, feel free to leave that in the comments too. But this is the part where I talk a little bit about our giveaways. So let me grab our list of week 1 winners to announce and share with you. In week 1, Cait announced 3 different prizes that we're going to be giving away, and I have the winners of those to announce for you today, and then I will share what I am giving away and how to enter. So week 1 winners. First up, we have a KC Ventures $15 gift card. I'm going to pop a screenshot up on the screen, but the winner of this one is Sandra. So congrats to Sandra. We will be reaching out to you soon. Next, I have a $50 gift card for Diamond Art Club, and the winner of this prize is going to be Mary. Thank you so much to Mary. And the third prize is going to be a $20 gift card to Carissa's Craft Corner. And the winner of this one is going to be Vicky. Congrats to all of our winners from week 1. We will be in touch with you soon about your prizes. And if you have any questions, of course, you can email us at fairytalesandfolklore@gmail.com. Now for week 2, I want to tell you about the prizes I'm giving away and then how to enter. So I wanted to first thank our sponsors for their generosity. The reason that we're able to give away these prizes each week is because of our sponsors donating. So thank you so much to the generosity of these small shop owners. We will have a sponsor doc linked below, and a lot of these sponsors are offering event goodies that you can check out if you want some coordinating accessories for your diamond painting project. And if you are in our Facebook group, you can see also some pictures and even discount codes that they're offering too. So first, what I'm giving away for week 2 is first a $15 gift card to KC Ventures, who has done an event tray for this event. Then I have a $20 gift card to Crafts with Crashly, who has created some on-theme release papers for this event as well. Then I will have a $20 gift card to Shire Shenanigans, who created an event cover minder that you can pick up. And then we have a $50 gift card for Diamond Art Club, who has plenty of diamond painting kits that would fit the theme for this event. Now, as far as how to enter for my week 2 giveaways, the first thing that I need you to do is, only if you haven't already for Cait's video, please fill out the event entry Google form, which will be linked below in the description box. If you filled this out for week 1, you don't have to fill it out again unless you've had a change of address. Please fill this out to the very best of your abilities, because we will be using this to cross-check and make sure we have your address and your email for contacting you about your prize. The second thing that I need you to do is to leave a comment on this video, including the word either Hades or Persephone. I know these can maybe be a little bit tricky to spell, but here's Persephone written out for you just in case, and it'll probably be in the title of the video as well. Please don't include the words giveaway or prize in your comment. This just helps us avoid bots showing up and spamming, and so just include it in a sentence, and we can go from there. Now, as far as the details, this giveaway is going to be open until Wednesday, February 18th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. We'll then draw our winners, and the week 2 giveaway winners will be announced in the week 3 video, which will be going up on Cait's channel next weekend. If you want to see all of the rules and other details about the giveaway, please do take a careful look at the prize form. We've included some important details there just as FYIs. You guys, thank you so much for joining me for week 2 of Fairy Tales and Folklore. I really hope that you are enjoying this diamond painting event in its first year. I know that Cait and I are having a lot of fun sharing everything about this event with you guys. As a reminder, we do have a Facebook group. If you want to join on that, it's completely optional, but it is a nice way to connect with a community of other people working on kits that are for this event if you're interested. And if you're on Instagram, you can also use the event hashtag Fairy Tales and Folklore 2026, I think is the whole hashtag. So looking forward to seeing the projects you guys are working on throughout the rest of the month. I am going to see how much progress I can make on Persephone before the end of the month. I'm not totally sure I'm going to be able to finish a kit this size before the month ends, but we'll see how it goes. I'm going to take my time, enjoy this rainy day stash kit, and probably go find some more videos on YouTube that dive a little bit more deeply into this particular mythos, because I feel like I've just barely scratched the surface. So I'm going to let you guys go. Be sure you're subscribed to my channel, as well as Cait at Diamond Painting and Dr. Pepper. I'll, of course, have her channel linked below so that you're not missing out on a bit of this event. We also both do a variety of diamond painting related videos, and I think I speak safely for Cait as well when I say we'd love to have you as part of our communities. Either way, though, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you are doing very, very well. Have a day and a week as wonderful as you are. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye, guys.